Hey everybody, it's Aunt Bibi. It's Saturday, June 23rd. I'm talking to you in the evening because there's a lot of construction noise during the day, so I have to do these videos in the evening. So I am going to do the second part of my talk about H.A. Goodman and his jumping on the Trump train. So I connected him to two other YouTubers who have jumped on the Trump train, Hard Bastard and Sticks Hexenhammer 666, or as I was calling him, Dr. Satan. Now I have to explain where that name Dr. Satan comes from. I thought it had come from a Twitter account called Martian Lobotomy. Now it did in part come from that Twitter account, but it was actually Scott Creighton, American Everyman website, the Church Dog 42 channel. He had found a character in a movie called Dr. Satan, and then Martian Lobotomy picked up on that and started calling Sticks Hexenhammer 666 Dr. Satan. So that's where that name originates. So I don't want to step on any toes, so I'm giving credit where credit is due. Okay, got that out of the way. So my mind was blown a little while ago about this whole H.A. Goodman jumping on the Trump train phenomenon. I was communicating with someone that I'm connected with on social media about H.A. and his switch. Now I'm changing my mind a little bit. I don't know that he's exactly suddenly flipped. I think this was coming. This was inevitable. H.A. had hooked up with Hard Bastard, who voted for Trump, and Hard Bastard started his channel in October of 2016. And then Dr. Satan, who took advantage of the whole Trump movement, and so I guess he took advantage of that in late 2016, early 2017. So this was inevitable because H.A. had gotten chummy with those two, and he probably saw, well, that's where the money is. It's not with the Bernie crowd anymore. It is in part, but there's a lot more money to be made by appealing to Trump supporters. So this person I was communicating with, I asked them what they thought about H.A. jumping on the Trump train. And it was very interesting. So apparently it's not a big deal. So this would represent people who are still very angry at the DNC and the Democratic Party for cheating the Bernie supporters. So these are people still protesting the DNC's fraud, and they want the DNC to be held accountable. So H.A. is still talking about this, and so that they're okay with that, even though he's a Trump supporter now. So in their mindset, it's important to focus on issues, which is interesting, but I don't know that they really are focused on issues. They seem to be focused on the DNC fraud and the Democratic Party's corruption and what the Obama administration was doing, spying on the Trump campaign and trying to undermine the Trump presidency and what was going on at the FBI. So, the DNC fraud protests, they include a lot of Trump supporters too, some of whom were Bernie Sanders supporters. So it seems like they're people who were Bernie supporters and some of whom voted for Trump, and then Trump supporters. So they're united in this protest against the corruption of the Democratic Party. And so the attitude is, if you criticize someone like H.A. for becoming a Trump supporter, it will somehow create more Trump supporters. It's blowback, I guess. So that's why you're not supposed to criticize someone for being a Trump supporter. You're not supposed to criticize Trump. I don't really understand that, but it's in their mindset, it's going to create more Trump supporters. It's blowback. They also think that they say Trump isn't the GOP. Trump is just a distraction. Now, I remember this way back then, and I used to say this before Trump was inaugurated or when he just became president. I thought the same thing. You know, Trump was the accidental president, so that was mine. But I'm over that now. I don't see it that way because we know what Trump's policies are now. So the people who are okay with HA's flip to the Trump train, they still are blaming the Democrats for a Trump presidency. So they don't think they should blame Trump for any. I don't know. They don't. It's weird. They just blame the Democrats for whatever Trump's doing. I guess I don't know. It's strange. So they also don't think Trump is as dangerous as the Democrats or the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, because Trump doesn't own the media. Well, that's true. Outlets like CNN and MSNBC and the other complicit media, no, Trump doesn't own them, but Trump has Fox News. Trump has a lot of the alternative media now. But so that's the way they think. The people who are okay with H.A. Goodman's decision to be a Trump supporter and support Trump and vote for him 2020, that's the way they think. They're okay with H.A. doing that, amazingly enough. Okay, so I just want to correct a couple of things here. I think in my first video, I showed a link to a video with Dr. Satan, H.A. Goodman, and Hard Bastard. It was on the Hard News Network website, and it's a dead link. This is one of Hard Bastard's videos that he has removed. He's removed the bulk of his videos from his channels. So I'm sorry about that. So that's a dead link. I put that in the show notes of the other video. The other thing is I was talking about H.A. Goodman, that he's writing for the Daily Caller. Now, this is not new. He's actually been writing for the Daily Caller since late 2016, I guess. So here's his bio on the Daily Caller. So he doesn't write a lot. Yeah, he's got an article here about why he joined the NRA, and he's a gun control. I mean, he's writing, he's become sort of a gun enthusiast, so he wrote an article. And so he's still part of this Free Julian Assange movement. That's another big reason a lot of people still support HA. It's not just over the Democrats, the DNC fraud. It's also about Julian Assange. So that's another interesting thing. That's why they're okay with HA's decision. So he's just got a handful really of articles in the Daily Caller. So he doesn't write a lot, but yeah, it's about Hillary Clinton and Julian Assange and Podestas and NRA. So anyway, so it's not like he's recently started writing for the Daily Caller. He just has a few articles that he's had there since late 2016. So that's another clarification I needed to make. So I still want to talk about how HA's roots are still in mainstream media. You know, he worked. He's a mainstream guy, really. So he had a job or an internship with the State Department. I mentioned that in the first video. And so he worked in mainstream media for a long time, and he's very proud of that fact. He appeared on CNN and MSNBC, the complicit media. He's published on the Huffington Post, and it's important to note that the Huffington Post, people think of it as a progressive outlet. Well, if you look at the roots of the Huffington Post, it is not. And yeah, I already knew that. So a lot of people don't realize this. My sister loves the Huffington Post. She thinks it's progressive, and she loves it. But its roots are conservative, really. If you look at the Ariana Huffington, she's a very conservative background. And so much so that Andrew Breitbart, who founded the Breitbart web news outlet, he helped her put together the Huffington Post. There are a couple of articles about this. Here's one of them. So that's something a lot of people don't realize, that Ariana Huffington has a connection with the late Andrew Breitbart, who helped her get her website, her news outlet started. Salon is another outlet that's, it's pretty mainstream, and so HA's published there. So on his way, I looked at. It's not coming up here. Oh, here we go. This is loading. So HA has written for a couple of Israeli outlets, the Jerusalem Post and the Times of Israel. So this was an interesting article I saw. If you want to, I'm looking into HA's views on things, and if you look at his views on Israel, it's kind of disturbing. So he buys into the Israeli narrative that Iran is a state sponsor of terrorism. I saw this because the article was not loaded. I found this. Yeah, it's in here somewhere. Where did I see that? Yeah, here it is. Okay. Netanyahu is right in saying that Iran is led by a dangerous regime that promotes terrorism. So you'll hear this from HA all the time. He'll talk about Hamas and Hezbollah being Iranian sponsored terrorist groups. So that's a very conventional narrative that the Israeli government puts out there. So he buys into this. He's always talking about this. So I think if HA, if he's not a paid Israeli government agent, he should be, because, he's just pushing their narrative so much. It's amazing. So so here he's talking about the Islamic State, and so he promotes this narrative that the Islamic State is this terrorist group that's emerged, and he doesn't realize it's a creation, a Western creation, a U.S. creation. I think, so I don't know. He's really fixated on Hamas, and so he doesn't. There's a number of videos where he's talked about his views on Israel. So I looked up H.A. Goodman Israel. So there's a few videos, and I do remember vaguely that he was talking about these things, and he was getting a lot of criticism. So he says, that's interesting. He says that the Israeli government has the right to decide where their capital should be, and so it's all right for the Israeli government to declare Jerusalem their capital, and for Trump to recognize that, for the U.S. government to recognize Jerusalem as the Israeli capital. Fails to mention that Israel is on occupied territory. He constantly says, HA constantly says he supports the, peace talks with the Palestinians and a two-state solution, and yet he ignores so many things. How can there be a two-state solution? Israel is just chipped away at so much of the Palestinian territory. And so it's virtually impossible for there to be two states the way it is. Israel is just trying to take all of the Palestinian territory. And HA just ignores that. And he became very critical of Abby Martin because he claims she has anti-Israel bias. He fixates on Hamas. He wants people like Abby Martin to declare support for Hamas. It's not enough. HA ignores what's going on in Gaza. He ignores all of that, ignores all the killings. He just fixates on Hamas and how Hamas is launching rockets and threatening the lives of Israelis. He's ignoring what's going on, the massacres in Gaza. He ignores these things. He ignores the Israeli government stealing Palestinian territory, and he ignores the way Palestinians are being forced to live, struggling to get by. And, they don't have clean water, they don't have electricity. He ignores all of these things. And so his views are very disturbing. He just ignores a lot. And I blame it on, he went to Hebrew school. In one of these articles, he was talking about this. So he went to Hebrew school until like 4th or 5th grade or something. So he was really well indoctrinated in the correct way of seeing Israel. And yeah. So HA's money, I talked a little bit about that. So HA had a website, Counterpropa, which doesn't exist anymore. But what's really weird is there's still a Twitter account, Counterpropa. That's his account. And there's still a Facebook page for Counterpropa. There it is. And let's see. What is that? Okay. So, and he has what is it? The Patreon. Yeah. So the Patreon. So, yeah, the Patreon, it's interesting. As I said in the first video, he got virtually nothing from Patreon, and I think it's really exploded. He's also promoting his books on his Patreon page, and he's gotten a lot more supporters, not just from his decision to support Trump, but also you can see here that people are asking about his Second Amendment, his gun channel. So he's getting money from Trump, not just from Trump supporters, but from gun enthusiasts. So he's really raking in the money, I think, now. I think he was struggling before, quite honestly. So he's still selling his books. I've read these books, so they're not really books. They're like pamphlets, really. If you put them together, maybe it'd be a tiny book. So he wrote these books about the Wan brothers and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and that the scandal going on in Capitol Hill with the Democrats and their computers. And he wrote books about Hillary Clinton's email. So yeah, So here are the books on the. Yeah, so he's still making money selling these books, and he's got these. Somebody wrote, and he's got a couple of fantasy novels. So I think he's raking in a lot more money from the book sales and Trump supporters and gun enthusiasts. So I think that's all contributed to it. I think he probably was struggling before, quite honestly. I don't know. That's what the impression I get. What's interesting about, I wanted to go back to, he's such an apologist for the Israeli government. And it's interesting because HA is not, there are actually a lot of a lot of Jews in the U.S. who are talking about the, what's going on in Gaza. And here's one. Lauren Steiner, she's a Jewish lady from New York, and she lives in Southern California. But she's very good. She will talk about what's going on in Gaza. And she did a video recently. Yeah, Lauren Steiner. I don't agree with her. She still participates in elections, but she does have some good positions on certain things. Yeah. So here she did a video about should Israel be prosecuted for war crimes, and I think there's another one. There's another one that she, resistance in the Gaza Strip and in the U.S. to Israeli, whatever. Let's see that. Yeah. Resistance in the Gaza Strip and in the U.S. to Israeli occupation and violence. Yeah, so she talks about this. So I don't know honestly, HA is honestly like an Israeli agent or something. It's weird. So April 20th is when HA made this decision to be a Trump supporter. And let's see this. Yeah, actually, I found the date. This was in the Daily Banter. So they have the tweet. I found the tweet myself, but It's good. It's right here in the Daily Banter. So on April 20th, this is when he announced his decision. So, this says, I'm voting Trump in 2020 to spite you and getting everyone I know to vote Trump. How dare you sue WikiLeaks when it simply published the corrupt words of people who cheated Bernie Sanders. You stole $200 million from voters to his campaign. Show your service to the FBI for once. Okay. Now, he'd made this decision supposedly because the DNC decided to file a lawsuit against the Russian government and WikiLeaks and a number of other groups or people for Hillary Clinton's, blaming them for Hillary Clinton's loss. And here's something that HA keeps saying, and it's all wrong. He just pushes so many things that are incorrect. He keeps saying that Bernie Sanders was cheated, and he ignores the fact that Bernie Sanders clearly had an agreement that Hillary Clinton would be the nominee, and he would sheepdog his supporters to vote for Hillary Clinton. But HA still is fixated on, well, I don't know, maybe he knows, but he's just pushing this bullshit. I don't know. So that's when he made his decision. Oh, when I was talking about the money, there's another thing I've been wondering about. Because of HA's Second Amendment channel, I'm wondering too if he is not getting money from the gun lobby. So that could be another thing. So he's getting money because he's a Trump supporter now. He's appealing to the Trump crowd, so they're supporting him. I think there's still, and he's still got a lot of support from people who are upset with the DNC fraud. And he's getting money from gun enthusiasts. He's getting money from his books, more so now than before. And he's getting money from Patreon. See, he's in super chats when he does his live streams. So he does live streams constantly. I don't know, 2 or 3 times a day. And it's really disgusting to watch these shows. He's just playing to the audience, pandering. And so they constantly give him super chats. That's the donations you can give in live chats during live streams on YouTube. And Google takes 30%, takes a 30% cut of that, which is really disgusting. But so I can't, HA seems to be doing a lot. He didn't do these live streams before. Before he used to just do straight videos. So it seems to be recently that he started doing this. See, you can see here. Yeah, before, there weren't all these live streams. This is what he's doing now, all the time, live streams. And you can't really tell that his videos have really changed. He's still, I think since he's become a Trump supporter, he puts out more videos, sort of praising Trump or, anything that he thinks that Trump is doing right, or Trump is calling out, Democrats or the Obama administration officials. So, that's how his videos are now these days. Yeah, even on his YouTube channel, he's still got this. Why Bernie Sanders will become I don't know. That's really strange. I don't know why he has not changed his cover photo on his YouTube channel. I can't figure that out. So I was looking at some of his Twitter, his tweets. His tweets are really disturbing, the things he's saying. Let's see. Okay, look at it. Let me click on this so you can see it better. Come on. There we go. Okay. It's a liberating feeling to advocate Trump 2020. Voting for Trump and GOP in 2018 isn't about policies anymore. Democratic Party is a threat to this country, from its love for liars like Comey McCabe, Clinton, to its neocons and DNC cult members. They're snowflake warmongers. So he's not only advocating voting for Trump in 2020, he's telling people to vote Republican in all the elections now. And he claims, so that's just one. He claims that, he says vote Trump 2020 to stop Cold War II. He claims that Trump, if you go through his tweets, he claims that Trump is less of a war hawk than the Democrats are. It's just amazing. It's like he's oblivious to what's going on. Trump is dropping even more bombs than Obama did. It's just amazing the things he's saying. Just amazing. And so he's basically saying that he might be right, that I think there are a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters, even ones who voted for Dr. Jill Stein, who are going to vote for Trump, and they're going to vote for the Republicans simply because they're so angry at the Democrats. I didn't realize how much anger there is until I communicated with that person today. And that would explain, like Zach Haller, I've noticed this too. I will be doing a video about Zach Haller. He's another one. I know darn well. I know for a fact he voted for Dr. Jill Stein, and he's jumped on that Trump train. It's because it's just all over the hatred for the Democrats, the Obama administration. Just absolutely amazing. The stuff, I don't know. You can go through, like he still loves Bernie. It's just weird. Here he says he still loves Bernie, not voting for him if he runs. I don't know. Jared Beck even like this. I don't know what the Becks are. I don't know what their plan is. I don't know. It's just amazing. And the other thing, I said this before. There are a lot of people who are okay with HA's decision to support Trump, and these are even people who've in the past expressed disgust with Trump, like Susie Dawson. Susie Dawson still stands by. Susie Dawson of the Internet Party in New Zealand. Only she's in exile, living in exile in Moscow. She seems to be still supportive of H.A. Goodman simply because H.A. is one of these figures who is still standing by Julian Assange and advocating for his being allowed out of the Ecuadorian embassy in London. So there's all these people. Elizabeth Lee Voss from Disobedient Media. She's done some very good reporting about. Her outlet has done very good reporting about the alleged hack of the DNC servers. That's all fake, but all of these people are standing by HA because they hate the Democratic Party so much, they hate the DNC so much, and they have all rallied around Julian Assange. Julian Assange, they say, well, we all have to unite around Julian Assange and make sure that he's okay and get him out of the Ecuadorian embassy. So it's just amazing. These people fail to realize that by doing this, they're just sort of continuing this whole illusion of choice and this divide between the Democrats and Republicans, and it's all a smokescreen. In my opinion, it's a distraction from what's going on in the Trump administration. And they recently released some plan where they're just going to privatize everything. It's just going to decimate the society in the U.S. and things like the U.S. Postal Service is going to be privatized. Medicare and Social Security, everything is going to be privatized. It's going to be a wreck. Public schools are all going to be chartered schools, and people are ignoring what's really going on with the Trump administration, and it's incredible. So, unfortunately, both the Democrats and the Republicans are going to continue these neoliberal policies and neoconservative policies because people don't have their eye on the ball. And people like H.A. Goodman are profiting from this. He's just raking in the money, and he's just playing all these people for suckers, for fools. I mean, my mind is still blown from what I heard today or what I saw when I was communicating with this person. So there's a lot of, I mean, these people. I was a Bernie Sanders supporter, but I tried to explain to this person, as far as I'm concerned, it's like a bad relationship. You need to move on, and they didn't see it that way. They kept saying, "Well, we have to keep them accountable," and well, I don't see how you can keep them accountable in a country like the U.S. where there really is no rule of law anymore. So I don't know. These people, H.A. Goodman, Dr. Satan, and Harbastard, have really, they're just exploiting people and keeping people divided, and people are not seeing what's going on. And so the alternative media is no better than the mainstream media now. And all these people have jumped on the Trump train because that's the money, where the money is. So that's all I have to say about H.A. Goodman for now. It's really sad. It's just, what's even sadder is that people are okay with this, and they're just blind to what's really going on, as far as I'm concerned. So I would appreciate some comments, thumbs up, thumbs down, share this. So that's all I have to say. So my mind is really blown today by what I saw. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.